All right, so now just I think it was very recently, The Northman has been released to theaters, even though it's been premiering and showcasing since April. Press interviews from director Robert Eggers as well, and the cast members. So I'm happy to finally talk about this movie. And in order to really understand this kind of movie, you have to go back to his other two films, like The Witch and The Lighthouse, which, whoops, awkward wording. What I should say, both films, as they are otherwise excellent films, but the tone can be very dark and aggressive, and this movie is no exception. And like even watching it like in the first act, especially early on, it became immediately clear there's a lot of these scenes where the actors are like in these pitch dark black rooms with like these soft warm lights, and once again speaking like this old Shakespearean English that's been used and seen before. So it's not like, again, like if you know Robert Eggers, his early filmmaking work, like it's you get the idea what's gonna come. But I still like the cast. Alexander Skarsgård, the main character of Prince Amaleth. This is a revenge tale, and once again, there's Anya Taylor-Joy, Willem Dafoe. Eggers has worked with both of them before on his other two films, so it's no shock that they signed up for this movie. So it's a good thing. And part of the reason why this whole movie like finally came together, it's because Skarsgård, I don't know, Skarsgård. I think there's some kind of accent mark on his name, but I'm just gonna try Skarsgård. Like for several years, he's from Sweden, so he really wanted to, you know, act and play in this kind of Viking movie as well. And after meeting with Eggers, like he finally got the project ongoing and collaborated with him, so that's a really good thing. And the more like as I'm watching um, the Northman throughout, like it immediately became clear that this is so much like again another Shakespearean inspiration of his play Hamlet, the one where like a young prince, witnesses the death of his father from his uncle, grows up, avenges him, and takes his rightful place. That story might actually seem familiar. Hamlet, I'm sure you're aware by now, was used in The Lion King. So, in a way, this movie and The Lion King mirror Hamlet. Although, in terms of tone and violence and all that, you can tell it's totally different. One is obviously more friendly, family friendly, and kids and all that. So, you get the idea there. But it doesn't really stay in that overall story arc from Hamlet. I noticed in the third film, there's like this unexpected twist from one of the characters played by Nicole Kidman. I don't want to spoil it, but I thought that was a well thought of twist. And again, before I go on, can I just say something here? Is it me, or like does there seem to be more of these like I don't know, like aggressive, almost violent scenes between Skarsgård and Nicole Kidman? What is up with that? Like I it was running in my mind and like even after that kind of scene together in the third act, how is it that they were like okay with working together after all the crazy violence from Big Little Lies between both of them? Like I would have just been like, you know what, a lot happened, just move on. So like I think the fact that both of them seemingly were okay with working together again was kind of unexpected to me, but yeah, like anyway, so again, this is the kind of movie, there's no fear or any shortage of showing any blood, rims being cut out, even like organs. So I'm fine with that. I like the gore, so it's not exactly a surprise that there's the gore. And this is like a revenge tale. How historically accurate it is, I think that's up for debate. There's some inaccuracies as well. There was supposed to be, I think, somewhere like a battle scene. There's a like no Viking culture. They scavenge and they take over the lands. If you're familiar with the Vikings TV series, that Vikings raid farms and villages. So of course there was something like that, and kidnapping kids and women. You get the idea. It's the kind of Viking culture of conquering villages in a small boat as a small group, and that's no exception there in the second act after Prince Amalith grows up, you know. So, and I think it was supposedly, I think it was somewhere in England, but just for the filming. But what I'm trying to say is that in terms of, again, historical accuracies, they were supposedly going to film in Ukraine. But we know the situation in Ukraine. I don't need to or want to get onto that. So things just had to change for filmmaking purposes, you know? But yeah, like also in Iceland, part of the story was also in Iceland from the second, even throughout the third act. That was the important thing as well. And so like Amalith was in pretending to be a slave, befriending Olga, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. Obviously their own relationship further developed from there, and even willingly stabbed and killed his stepbrothers Thorir, and yeah, there's another one. So you get the idea of how a lot of blood and gore, all that stuff. Now, I liked his performance once again for Alexander Skarsgård. For someone who's done like, the roles, whether it's Big Little Lies or even like we saw The Legend of Tarzan, he's good with this sort of thing of being like this character filled with rage. So he brought the rage once more in this movie, and I thought that was a well-played performance there. So I definitely recommend this movie. It is definitely worth a watch, and I like the twist. If there's anything I liked, is that the opening shot, the first frame, was in this volcano, and then it ends in a volcano. So again, I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm spoiling some plot points, but I mean, it's been a month anyway. But that's what I really liked more than anything, like how it started and how it ended, in terms of like using the volcano and sort of thing and all that. Of course, there was also Ethan Hawke. He was only there in the beginning. He was played Amlet's father as his king. So we don't need to get much into that. Of course, Willem Dafoe, kind of like his, not creepy, but almost like this villainous sort of thing. Not really a villain, but you kind of tell, like there are still some Green Goblin vibes that I really liked, is what I'm trying to say, and he met his fate. But so it's a good thing, like it concentrated more on Amleth, and seeing as Olga's future, he wanted to make the sacrifice, realizing that if Fjolnir is gone, his own family will be safe. And again, like, listening and watching the way they were speaking this old Shakespearean English, like it was easy to follow along the plot. It was easy to understand, because that's how his other two films for Robert Eggers was done before. So again, if you're familiar with his other films, you'll understand this one. This is still definitely worth a watch. Not perfect, but still an excellent film. Still has like already what I think is like early trademarks of like intense, aggressive, filming in dark rooms, soft, warm lights. These are just little elements that I've noticed thus far in his movies. But yeah, if you haven't caught it in cinemas by now, go ahead. It's probably the best chance before other movies come in June.